Okay, I want to start today with a bit of a visualization exercise.
Right.
If you're driving, obviously keep your eyes on the road. But for everyone else, just picture a standard wooden shipping pallet. You know, the kind you see behind a grocery store?
Sure. The universal symbol of logistics.
Exactly. Now imagine that pallet is stacked about waist high with bricks of cash,
Okay.
tightly wrapped in industrial plastic. Just stacks and stacks of bills.
I'm picturing it. A lot of money.
Now imagine an entire warehouse floor filled with those pallets. Rows of them. We aren't talking about a briefcase of money like in a Bond movie.
No.
We are talking about 5 tons of physical currency.
5 tons. That's a staggering amount of paper. It's actually hard to visualize what 5 tons of money even looks like without, just imagining a mountain of cash.
And the reason we're visualizing this is because we are not talking about a wire transfer today. We're not talking about Bitcoin or Swift codes or some complex digital entry.
No. We're talking about a physical logistical operation to move that mountain of cash across international borders.
It sounds like the plot of a heist movie from the 90s, doesn't it?
It really does. But what we're digging into today is very, very real. And the implications are, well, they're massive for the current geopolitical situation in 2026.
They really are. We are looking at a stack of documents obtained by the Telegraph and analyzed in a fascinating deep dive by Cult.
These are customs documents, trade records, compiled by a group called Import Genius.
And they reveal that Russia secretly sent approximately $2.5 billion in cash to Iran.
And just to be clear from the outset, this wasn't a one-time thing, not a suitcase thrown out of a helicopter.
No, this was a sustained industrial-scale operation.
Right. So our mission today is to unpack this. We're going to look at how on earth you move that much money. The mechanics of it are wild.
And we're going to look at why it happened specifically in 2018.
And maybe most importantly, we need to talk about what this tells us about the financial alliance between Moscow and Tehran right now in 2026.
Because some of the ghosts from this 2018 operation have just walked back into the room.
They have. And the timing is, to say the least, suspicious.
So let's start with the scale of this, because the numbers in these documents are honestly kind of hard to wrap your head around. We said $2.5 billion.
Correct. 2.5 billion. But, we get numb to the word billion. We hear about it with tech companies, government budgets.
It's just digits on a screen. It's abstract.
But this wasn't abstract, this was paper. The records show that between August and December 2018, there were 34 separate shipments.
34? I mean, that's not a secret mission. That's a scheduled service.
It's a ferry schedule, basically.
Yeah.
They were running these cash boats roughly every few days for months.
And the value of these shipments, it's astronomical.
We are talking between $57 million and $115 million per shipment.
Can you imagine being the captain of that ship, looking at a manifest and knowing there is $100 million in cash sitting in the hold?
Talk about high pressure. But there's a detail in the analysis that I found particularly fascinating, the spy movie aspect of it. Because physics is a problem here.
The weight issue, you mean?
Exactly. Money is heavy. If you try to move $2.5 billion in, say, $20 bills, you're talking about multiple shipping containers. It's not discrete.
So the custom documents, they officially listed the cargo as U.S. dollars.
Right, that's what the paperwork said. But the experts analyzing this, they looked at the declared weight versus the declared value, and they realized the math didn't add up.
American dollars are too heavy for the value.
In a way, yes, $100 million in U.S. hundreds weighs a certain amount. But the shipments were lighter than that.
So how did they cheat the physics?
The experts believe the cash was likely packaged in 500 notes.
Ah, the famous 500 note?
Yes. In Europe, they used to call them bin Ladens.
Why?
Because everyone knew they existed, but nobody ever saw them.
Except criminals.
Except criminals, money launderers, and apparently state actors evading sanctions.
That makes perfect sense. It's all about high-value density.
Precisely. You can fit an incredible amount of value into a small space. It makes the logistics way easier. It turns what could have been a fleet of ships into a manageable 34 shipments.
Still, 5 tons, that's a full-grown elephant. But it's movable.
Yeah.
So let's trace the route, because you're probably not putting this on a commercial flight.
Definitely not. You need total control. The documents outline a very specific journey. It started in Russia, likely moved by armored rail to the southern port of Astrakhan.
Okay, geography check for everyone. Astrakhan sits right on the Caspian Sea.
Russia's gateway to the Caspian.
And the Caspian Sea is the perfect place for this, isn't it?
Why do you say that?
Well, it's a closed body of water. A lake, really, bordered by Russia, Iran. There's no U.S. Navy patrolling the Caspian.
Exactly. It is a secure corridor, a
Yeah.
private pool for these nations.
Yeah.
So from Astrakhan, the cash was loaded onto ships for a voyage across the Caspian to the Iranian port of Amirabad.
And from there.
The final leg was by rail down to Tehran.
It's incredible. We live in this age of digital everything, and here are two major state powers relying on trains and boats and physical paper.
It feels almost retro, doesn't it? But it highlights a crucial point about sanctions, which is really the heart of the story.
Right. Digital money leaves a trail.
Digital money is visible. SWIFT transfers are monitored. If you're a sanctioned entity, the digital world is a minefield.
But physical cash, once it's on a boat in the Caspian Sea?
The computer code in London can't stop it. It's the ultimate sanctions evasion tool. It's slow, it's risky, but it is uncensorable.
So we know how they did it, the bin Laden notes, the Caspian route, but let's zoom in on when they do it, because the timing is definitely not accidental.
No, the timing is incredibly specific.
The first shipment in the records,
Wait, was that again?
August 13th, 2018.
Mark that date. August 13th.
That first one was kind of a test run, just 110 kilograms of cash.
A light load, only worth about $57 million. Pocket change. But you can't look at August 13, 2018 in a vacuum. You have to look at what was happening in Washington just days before.
We're talking about the Trump administration's maximum pressure campaign.
Yes. This first shipment launched exactly 1 week, 7 days after President Trump reimposed harsh sanctions on Iran.
1 week. That's
Yeah.
not a panicked reaction. You don't organize this kind of operation in 7 days.
It suggests it was pre-planned, or at least the infrastructure was ready to go. An immediate, calculated countermove.
And the situation in Tehran at that moment, it sounds catastrophic.
Dire is the word used. The Iranian rial was in freefall.
And when a currency crashes, that's chaos on the streets.
Absolutely. People lose their life savings. Prices for food and fuel skyrocket. There were widespread protests, which the authorities were violently suppressing.
So the regime is feeling the walls closing in. They needed a lifeline.
And that is where Moscow steps in. There was a really interesting quote in the article from Anna Borshevskaya at the Washington Institute.
What did she say?
She noted that this shows how Moscow devises strategies to support the Iranian regime, specifically during crises.
Right. The goal isn't military intervention. It's not putting boots on the ground.
It's a financial lifeline.
Exactly. When your allies' currency is collapsing, hard cash is more valuable than tanks. It lets the government pay the police, the militias. It stabilizes things just enough.
There was another perspective, too, from Richard Nephew, a former envoy for Iran.
And his take.
He suggested that these transfers aren't just one-off favors. He sees this as a specific method the Russian government employs. It's a tool in their toolkit.
So less of an emergency bailout and more of a standard operating procedure for this alliance of the sanctions.
That seems to be the implication. It's a systemic way of bypassing the chokehold of Western sanctions.
Which brings us to the who, because it wasn't just Russia sending money. Banks send money.
Correct. And the bank on the Russian side is fascinating. The sender was Kramzia's bank.
Now, that name might not ring a bell for most people, but in the world of sanctions watchers, this bank is notorious.
It is. PSB is a state-owned Russian bank.
Yeah.
But it's not just a regular commercial bank.
So it has a special purpose, right?
A very special purpose. It was nationalized in 2017 and repurposed specifically to finance Russia's defense sector.
So it's the military's bank.
Essentially. They isolated the risk. They moved all the defense spending to PSB, basically saying, okay, let this one bank get sanctioned so our others might stay safe.
A bad bank, by design. A designated lightning rod.
And naturally, it's been sanctioned by pretty much everyone. These are the guys who moved the money.
And on the receiving end?
The Central Bank of Iran.
Okay, straightforward enough. But there's a specific person mentioned who is running the show on the Iranian side. And this is where the story gets really relevant for today.
Yes. We need to talk about Abdulnazir Hamadi.
Who is he?
He's a veteran banker, a technocrat. He served as the governor of Iran's central bank during these 2018 transfers. He was the man in the big chair overseeing the reception of this $2.5 billion lifeline.
So he knows where the bodies are buried, or I guess where the pallets are stacked.
He knows the logistics, the Russian counterparts, how to get that cash into the Iranian economy.
And this is where the story jumps from 2018 to a breaking news story for 2026. Because where is Mr. Hamadi now?
Well, for a while he was out of the spotlight. But in a critical development, Hamadi was reappointed to that exact same position.
The same one.
Governor of the central bank. On December 31st, 2025.
Wow. Just a few months ago.
Exactly. The man who orchestrated the reception of the cash boats is back in the driver's seat.
That feels significant. You don't bring a guy like that back for no reason.
It is highly significant. It signals continuity. And it raises a massive red flag for Western observers.
So let's bridge the gap here. Same banker back in charge. A history of secret cash shipments. Why does this matter so much right now?
Because the geopolitical landscape has shifted. The mechanism, the pipeline, is still relevant, but the reason for it has evolved.
You mean the war in Ukraine?
Correct. Think about 2018. The flow was one way. Russia sending cash to help Iran survive.
Right.
Today, we have a reverse flow of support as well.
The drones.
The sources explicitly mention it. Iran is now a critical supplier of military hardware to Russia. Shahed drones, ballistic missiles. They're being used on the front lines in Ukraine.
So the relationship has deepened. It's not just big brother Russia helping little brother Iran anymore.
It's a symbiotic relationship. Russia needs the weapons, Iran needs the cash. And experts warn that payments might be happening on an even larger scale today than in 2018.
Anna Borshcheskaya had another quote about that. I thought it was chilling. She argued that Russia is likely providing more now.
Yes, he said it's appropriate for the times. The logic is simple. The Iranian regime needs more support, but Russia also needs Iran more than it ever did before.
In 2018, Russia was a major power helping a pariah. In 2026, Russia is a pariah.
Exactly. They are now in the same boat, literally and figuratively.
It's a transaction. Cash for weapons.
A financial alliance designed to do one thing: evade the West.
And that's the big takeaway for me. We think of modern finance as this digital fortress where the U.S. Treasury holds all the keys.
But digital blockades only work on digital money.
Right. If you put 5 tons of paper on a boat, the sanctions enforcers are powerless.
That is the limitation of economic statecraft. Sanctions stop you from using Visa or wire transfers. They cannot physically stop a ship crossing the Caspian unless you're willing to enforce a naval blockade.
Which is an act of war.
Precisely. So state actors like Russia and Iran, they revert to pre-digital methods, physical logistics.
It's like how Prohibition never stopped alcohol, it just changed the distribution network.
That's a great analogy. It drove it underground, or in this case, onto the Caspian Sea.
And with Hemedi back at the helm, the infrastructure for doing this is clearly being prioritized.
It suggests they are bracing for something, or maybe are already in the middle of it. You don't bring back the crisis governor unless you're in a crisis.
His skill set being how to hide 5 tons of money.
And how to distribute it to stabilize a regime and fund a war machine.
So, to recap for everyone, we started with this staggering image. $2.5 billion in cash smuggled from Russia to Iran in just a few months.
We tracked it from Astrakhan across the Caspian to Tehran. A massive logistical feat.
We learned it was a direct response to U.S. sanctions, a financial lifeline.
And we identified the key players: Pромsvязьbank, the Russian military bank, and Governor Hemeti in Iran.
And the kicker, Hemeti is back. The channel is likely open. And now, the stakes involve the war in Ukraine.
The volume of trade, both in cash and in weapons, has likely only grown.
It's a sobering thought. We worry about cyber warfare and crypto laundering, but sometimes the biggest moves are made with rusty cargo ships and crates of paper.
It proves that the oldest forms of value transfer are still the hardest to stop. Cash is king, especially in the dark.
So I want to leave you with a question to chew on today. We know about the 5 tons of cash in 2018 because we have the documents now, years later.
Right. These things take time to surface.
But with the same central banker back in charge and a war blazing in Ukraine fueled by Iranian drones, what is floating across the Caspian Sea right now?
That is the multi-billion-dollar question. And we might not find out the answer for another 5 years.
Thanks for listening to this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.